Hi everyone, it's Tanner here, and welcome back to another episode of the Man to Man Coverage Podcast. Today I'm with my good friend and co-host Mason.
What's up, guys?
We're going to be doing all 16 teams in the NFC. We're going to be giving them a grade for the NFL draft. How are you feeling about this, Mason?
Pretty good. I'm ready to talk about the draft grades. Ready to roll.
Let's go. Let's start with a terrible team, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, oh my goodness, Mason, this was bad. Would you agree this was pretty bad?
Yeah, it was definitely might have been the worst draft. Uh, or definitely one of the worst drafts.
Yeah, so they start out with Dwayne Eskridge, who's a wide receiver. Now he's a fine prospect. I'll say that he is a very fine prospect, but wide receiver is a very good position for Seattle. You have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, very good wide receivers who are Pro Bowl caliber. And then that's the first pick you make for. And then the Seahawks only had two other picks, which is corner and offensive lineman. They're probably going to be fine players, but you really need to get impact. The Seahawks are a good team. They're going to win some games because of Russell Wilson and Bobby Wagner and DK Metcalf, but you really need to get players who are going to make an impact. I'm going to go D plus. I liked how they dressed corner and offensive line, but really bad draft for Seattle.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. I think it was one of the worst drafts. With only having three picks and taking wide receiver, which is a position you're already stacked at, and that's your first pick in the draft, that really just makes no sense to me. Um, Honestly, one of the worst selections you could have made at that point. I think you could have easily found a solid corner that was still available or offensive line talent because it is the second round and there's still a ton of studs out there. And yeah, they did address corner, an offensive tackle, but I just don't know how impactful a sixth round tackle will be for Russell Wilson. I feel like Russell Wilson has gave so much to that franchise. The least you could do is get him some protection, and for that reason, I'm going to give him a D, which is pretty similar to yours.
Yeah, really bad draft for Seattle. I know they've usually drafted poorly, but this one was especially bad. Next, I'm going to go to the Los Angeles Rams. They had a lot of picks, but they were not really that great. They took three wide receivers, which makes no sense. The Rams have a lot of good wide receiving talent, so that's a very confusing couple of selections there. They did go defense. They got a linebacker, Ernest Jones, I believe, in round 3 or 4, who is nice, but I feel like that the Rams could have just went with some other positions, maybe a pass rush. I know they have Aaron Donald, who is fantastic, but other positions would have been nice to take. Um, I feel like that a lot of the picks they made, two of the players are very safe players, like Ernest Jones, linebacker, Bobby Brown, defensive tackle, Robert Rochelle, corner, Ernest Brown, defensive end. A lot of these players are very safe. They're probably going to be average-ish starting number two players in the NFL, which is fine. But since the Rams are so loaded, I wish they took more risks. So I'm gonna go with a C minus. It was just a very below average draft, and the Rams, I've liked what they've done with the Matthew Stafford trade, but I did not like this draft.
Yeah, no, I think this is another. This is very similar to the Seahawks, where they had not a first round pick and they did not really address a lot of needs that they really had coming into the draft. I mean, taking three receivers when you already have Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Deshaun Jackson kind of doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sure Tutu Atwell will be fine. Oh, and they also have Van Jefferson, who they drafted last year in the second round.
I really like him.
Yeah, so they have four solid receivers already. I don't understand drafting your fifth string wide receiver with your first pick. Makes no sense to me. Um, and they had a lot of picks, unlike Seattle, and they didn't even fill that many needs. I think they could have went offensive line more. They lost a couple guys in free agency. Even getting some secondary help, like they lost John Johnson to the Browns. So I gave them a C because I think they did get talent. I just don't think they filled enough needs with how many picks they really had.
Yeah, well said. The 49ers, I'm gonna go B. Since we have about 16 teams to cover, I am gonna go through these a bit quicker. Um, but I will say what about San Francisco. I did like what they did. They got Trey Lance. He was my fourth quarterback. They take him third overall. That's good. They then go Aaron Banks, offensive lineman who I like. Notre Dame produces very good offensive linemen. He's a very physical person and kind of reminds me of Mike McGlinchey, another San Francisco offensive lineman. And then besides that, San Francisco, they got Trey Sermon, a nice running back. They went defense a bit. It's a good draft. There's nothing in here that's terrible, but there's nothing fantastic. The 49ers are a really talented team and they just kind of retold. So I'm gonna go B.
Yeah, I think the 49ers had a pretty solid draft. I gave them a B plus. I like the idea of going up and getting your quarterback. I think Trey Lance has a great upside. I think they had a lot of talent. I love the Aaron Banks move. I like Trey Sermon a lot as a prospect. The only reason it doesn't really hit an A for me is just because I think they could have hit on more positions of need. Like Trey Sermon's, like I said, fantastic prospect. Don't know if you really needed a running back that badly. But still a really good draft, which is why they get a B plus.
Moving on to the Cardinals, the final team in NFC West. I'm gonna go an A with this. A lot of picks I loved. Round two, you get Rondell Moore, a very speedy wide receiver out of Purdue. Gonna be really good for Kyle Murray. And this might sound like a bit of a joke thing, but Kyle Murray's a shorter quarterback, and Rondell Moore is a shorter wide receiver. So it's good to have someone on your eye level. I heard someone say that, and I thought that was actually a really unique take. Besides that, you get Marco Wilson, a really nice corner out of Florida, and Tay Gowan, another corner. So two defensive backs, which are very good picks. And then the other picks the Cardinals made, I like them. I don't love the round one Zaven Collins pick. It's fine. I think you could have gone with higher upside. However, besides that, the Cardinals got positions they needed. They addressed the right now, but they also addressed the future. So yeah, this is an A draft for me. Good job by the Cardinals.
Yeah, I gave my Cardinals an A minus. I love the Rondale Moore pick. Um, he's really small, but he's super fast, and even though he's really small, he can still run through a wall. I mean, just watch the highlights. This guy is running over people at 5'7", which is just kind of ridiculous to think about. Marco Wilson, Tay Gowan. I think those are two steals at corners. I think both those guys are just going to feed off of each other. I've already seen on Instagram they're already really hyped to be playing with each other. They're already like good friends. And I think they're just going to push each other to be great. And Zaven Collins, that pick was it was a little odd. I think the Cardinals' goal was to trade down and get Zaven Collins, but no team wanted to trade it to 16. So they just went and got their guy, which I like. Don't risk your guy being there in the later rounds. I think Collins is a fine prospect, just a big guy. He can drop back in coverage and also rush. And I think Cardinals mainly did this just to pair him with Isaiah Simmons because Jordan Hicks has shown signs of regression. So A minus is what I give him.
Alrighty, going to the NFC North, we have the Detroit Lions. The Lions' new head coach Dan Campbell. If you haven't seen his press conferences, they're very entertaining. He's a former tight end, and he has a very kind of rough mentality when to win in the trenches, meaning they're going to build up on the offensive and defensive line, and that's what the Lions did. Fantastic pick round one with Penny Sewell, offensive lineman. The next two picks to go defensive tackle. Some other notable picks was Amon Ross St. Brown, a wide receiver, which was really nice. I believe that was in round 4 or 5. Helps out the Lions offense. And then I also went Derek Burns, who was a later round pick as well, linebacker out of Purdue. I love this guy's tape. He's super physical. I like the Lions that they have an identity. They're going to be a tough team in the trenches. I do like a lot of the picks. I don't know about going two straight defensive linemen, but I see where they're going for. I like this identity. I think the Lions are not going to be a playoff team, but I don't think they're going to be an easy team to beat. I think they're going to be competitive, and I'm going to give them a B plus.
Yeah, I like everything you said. Dan Campbell, tough guy. They drafted a lot of hard nosed guys. Um, I gave him an A minus, just simply for the fact they got Penei Sewell, as well as other guys, but Penei Sewell really puts it in the A minus for me just because I think this guy's phenomenal. He has potential to be a Hall of Fame tackle, and those are very hard to come by. So when you have a guy like Penei Sewell, for your future left tackle for hopefully the next 15 years, I think that's always super motivating to have just because a lot of teams struggle to really find that guy. Then you got a Futu Melifonwu. I don't know how to say his name, but I do know who he is. He's the cornerback out of Syracuse. I thought this guy was a really solid prospect. I'm glad they're getting another corner to pair alongside Jeff Okuda, really just building up that secondary. I love the Monra St. Brown pick. I'm surprised he fell to round 4. He's a
Same.
really big physical receiver. They lost Marvin Jones and Kenny Galladay, who were both big physical receivers, and they really needed to fill that hole for Jared Goff to throw to. And I really like that pick. And I also like the Jamar Jefferson pick. I think he gives you something in the offense along with special teams.
Yeah, I forgot about that pick. It's pretty good. Me saying the word good is not going to be something you hear about the Packers draft because I'm gonna go with a D minus. Yes, a D minus. This was a really bad draft. Green Bay had this the drama about Aaron Rodgers, and what do? You only take one offensive playmaker, and Amari Rodgers. Now, Amari Rodgers out of Clemson, nice wide receiver. I like him. He's the only reason this is not an F. Eric Stokes in round 1 is a total reach. I'm not that high on Stokes. Josh Myers, there's so many better players available. Besides that, not a lot of other picks. He mainly went offensive line, but you already have a good offensive line. This was a really bad draft. I was just really underwhelmed. And, we're recording this like a week after. So we've had time to think about
Mhm.
this. This is not overreaction. This is a D minus for me. Bad job by Green Bay. I hope Aaron Rodgers goes to somewhere else.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Tanner. Except I'm gonna be more harsh on them. Um, Gr- Aaron Rodgers said he wants out. You end up losing a lot of value. I think you could have got a top pick, a lot of top picks in this draft for trading Aaron Rodgers, except you keep him and then you draft a cornerback, which is not a bad position to need. But I mean, come on, the only offensive player you drafted in the past 8 years in the first round was Jordan Love, who you try to replace with Aaron Rodgers. I think that's just a big screw you to the guy who's really just helped you um, for the past, what is it, 15 years, the guy who won you a Super Bowl. I do like the Amari Rodgers pick. Josh Myers, it's an okay pick. I'm not sure if Creed Humphrey was still on the board, but I think he was. I like Creed Humphrey way more than
Yes.
Josh Myers, so I don't really understand that. Eric Stokes is a fine corner, but I would rather have Asante Samuel Jr. Right here for the Packers. And I'm gonna agree with Tanner. I'm gonna give him a D minus,
Yeah, just terrible, terrible stuff.
borderline F for
Um,
me.
yeah, the Vikings are gonna be an A plus. You get a fantastic offensive lineman in Christian Darrisaw round 1. Go quarter back Kellen Mond, round 3, which I really like. Have him develop under Kirk Cousins. Other notable draft picks: Wyatt Davis, guard, very nice offensive lineman, middle of the draft. Cameron Bonham, a very nice corner later. You got some good edge pressures, some edge rushers. I thought the Vikings drafted for now with Christian Darrisaw to help Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook. But then he also got some pieces for the future. And with that defense getting older, I thought you got some nice pieces. So A plus. And then I'm also going to tie this in with the Vikings. The Chicago Bears are also going to get an A plus for me. Taking Justin Fields is excellent. Just adds so much excitement. Besides that, the Bears also steal Tevin Jenkins in round 2, an offensive tackle who, in my opinion, should have gone first round. Besides that, the Bears also had Daz Newsome and Thomas Graham, two nice playmakers. Daz Newsome, a wide receiver, and Thomas Graham, a corner. I think both the Bears and Vikings drafted to win now, but also drafted to win
Mhm.
about 2, 3 years. So both A pluses.
Yeah, I'm gonna go A for the Vikings. Really love their draft. They traded down. I think they would have been happy with Darisaw at 14. They ended up trading down and still getting him at 23, which I think is that really just made them an A draft. In order to get your guy and still drop down. I love the Kellen Mond pick. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback, and I think he could be someone that takes over Kirk Cousins in maybe 2 to 3 years. Chaz Surratt, love that linebacker pick. Thought he was really underrated coming in this draft. And then the last guy I want to talk about for the Vikings, Patrick Jones, another good quality pick. With one of their 4 third-round picks, which is also insane how many third-round picks they had, as well as fourth-round picks. So, great draft from them. Going to the Bears, my first A plus I'm giving out. I love the idea of just risking it all and going and get your guy, Justin Fields at 11. He slipped. You give up a first round pick next year, but I think if Fields works out, it's 100% going to be worth it. And then as well as getting Tevin Jenkins, which is already showing that you're trying to solidify a offensive line to protect your future quarterback. Absolutely love both of those drafts.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad we're in agreement. Going to the NFC South, um, starting with the New Orleans Saints, who had a lot happen in the offseason with Drew Brees retiring. They're going to get an F from the terrible draft. Round one, you go Peyton Turner and edge rusher, not a position of need, a total reach. Then you go Pete Warner, round two. You already have Demario Davis, who's an all pro linebacker. So why draft a linebacker? Late in the draft, you just get players who are so blah. People are defending the Saints are saying, hey, we got Paulson Adebo round three, a nice corner. Yes, secondary is always nice, but I had Paulson Adebo lower. F draft for the Saints. They also take Ian Book, a quarterback. Why? You have two quarterbacks on the roster. I do not know what the Saints are doing. They've always kind of drafted pretty well, in my opinion, especially of late. But this draft was confusing. I don't think there's a single starter. Maybe Paulson and Debo, but F draft here for the Saints, especially after Drew Brees retires. It's like this could
Mhm.
have been something that really rejuvenated the Saints, but it just didn't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be as harsh, Tanner here, but I definitely agree. I'm going with a D minus. I just give it a D minus just because I do like the Paulson Adebo and Pete Werner picks. I think both those guys will be solid for your defense. But I don't know what's up with the Saints and overdrafting edge rushers. They did it with Marcus Davenport a couple years ago, and they did it again with Peyton Turner. Gregory Rousseau is still on the board. I would have picked Gregory Rousseau over him. Um, a lot of people are like Peyton Turner at 28. I think you could have got that guy in the second or third round, if I'm being honest. And then the Ian Book pick. Um, you guys will hear this from in another draft video, but I did not like this pick at all. I think not only is it you have solid quarterbacks, but the fact you took Ian Book over other like quarterback prospects like the GOAT Felipe Franks really bothers me. Um, no, all jokes aside, though, I think Ian Book is he's undersized. He doesn't have a crazy strong arm, not super athletic, decent accuracy. I'm just not impressed by him, and I'm honestly surprised the Saints decided to go quarterback around 4.
Yeah, the Falcons for me moving on to Atlanta, getting A plus. This is a fantastic draft. The more I think about it, round one you go Kyle Pitts. I mean, what is there to say? He is such a fantastic tight end. Then after that, you go Richie Grant, a really nice safety round two. The Falcons have a very bad secondary. Grant's a very rangy player, so I really like that selection. They then go Jalen Mayfield in round three, a very nice offensive lineman. I think that he would have been great to go to the Packers in round two, kind of circling back to that Green Bay rant. And then after that, the Falcons just got some nice picks. They addressed corner again. They went offensive line. Some of the players they selected, a lot of these later round guys for a lot of these teams I don't know about, but I mean, they go center and Drew Dolman, defensive tackle. I like the positions they draft even though I don't know a lot of these late round guys, I like the positions they went. I do like Frank Darby. That is someone who I saw from Arizona State a bit. I do like him. He can learn from Julio Jones in that room. And the Falcons also signed Felipe Franks, who's a quarterback that can learn from Matt Ryan. So A plus. I love how the Falcons went with the explosive Kyle Pitts pick, but then you also went defense. So really nice move for the Falcons.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this draft an A minus. Really love the draft. Kyle Pitts, like offense wasn't a big need for him, but when you have debatably the greatest tight end prospect we've ever seen, I'm not saying he's going to be the greatest tight end. I'm just saying he's the best prospect we've ever seen, and debatably the second best prospect in this entire draft. You just have to take him. I mean, this guy's ridiculous. Pairing him with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, like, yeah, their defense is horrible, but I do not want to go against that offense. Like, I would actually be terrified. He gives you so many mismatch options at 6'6". Then you also take Richie Grant, safety. They lost Keanu Neal. Love that pick. Jalen Mayfield, always like going offensive line. Really solid pick. Love Frank Darby as well. The only reason um I gave it an A minus, not higher, just because I would have liked them to get a maybe like a better corner in like round 3 or 2 instead of waiting around 4, but still a really great draft by the Falcons.
Yeah, Darren Hall is someone I've been reading up on. He's a player that took around four cornerback from San
Mm.
Diego State. He looks pretty nice, but I do get what you mean. And then wrapping up the final two NFC South teams for me, Carolina Panthers. Oh my goodness, A plus plus plus, fantastic. Round one to go, J.C. Horn, one of my favorite players. Panthers needed this secondary, and J.C. Horn is a very athletic corner. Fantastic move. Then they go Terrence Marshall round two, who's a very nice wide receiver. They have DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson on the outside, being those wide receivers are your big vertical threats. So the Panthers draft a wide receiver who can play in the middle and inside of the offense, which is a very forward thinking way of the NFL. Plus, Terrence Marshall went to LSU, and that's where the Panthers offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, was at. You then go Brady Christensen, a nice offensive lineman, Tommy Tremble, tight end, just so many picks I loved. Even some other people later, like a long snapper was a pick I liked, and Keith Taylor, a nice cornerback who I liked a lot in this draft from Washington around five. This is a fantastic draft for Carolina. They drafted super smart. And they drafted where the NFL is going. And then also the Buccaneers, there's not a lot to mention because this is already a really good team. They won the Super Bowl. I'm gonna give the Buccaneers a B. It was a fine draft. They got some nice positions. Joe Tryon, edge rusher, round one pick can learn. I love Kyle Trask going there in round two to learn under Tom Brady. Just not a lot to say about Tampa Bay. So A plus plus for the Panthers and just kind of a solid B for the Buccaneers.
I'm not gonna lie. Before this, I had my Carolina as a A draft, but after hearing Tanner, he convinced me I'm gonna move it over to an A plus. Um,
Let's go.
really, I just love the J.C. Horn pick. I think that was their biggest need was corner, and they just took it. I like how they were like, let's not buy into the hype. Rashawn Slater would be great here, but we desperately need a corner. So let's just go get our guy, and we'll address tackle later, which they ended up doing, which I'm glad they did because they didn't just ignore it the entire draft, unlike other teams. But
Packer.
yeah, but I love the Terrence Marshall pick. They lost Curtis Samuel. I think Terrence Marshall will bring you some of the stuff Curtis Samuel did. He was a great steal in my opinion. I like the Chuba Hubbard pick, another solid backup running back because Mike Davis left. So
That
yeah,
was a good pick. I forget to mention that.
yeah. So Tanner really convinced me. A plus. Love the J.C. Horn move. Now heading into the Buccaneers, like Tanner said, I mean these rookies, I don't know how much of an impact they're going to make. They brought back all 22 starters. I gave them a B minus. I'm not a big fan of Kyle Trask, but I do like the fact he can sit behind Tom Brady. So I'm not like a fan of it, but I'm not like a hater of it. I'm just like, okay, we'll see what it goes. Joe Tyron, I think that was a fine pick. Just a really average draft, so that's why I gave it a B minus.
I'm gonna go to the NFC East. Starting off with the Philadelphia Eagles, my favorite team. I'm gonna go A minus. Part of me wants to go A, but taking on my bias, I'll go A minus. Love how round one the Eagles got a really good wide receiver in Devontae Smith. I love this pick. I'm looking to get his jersey. Fantastic selection. Then in round two, they go a really good center in Landon Dickerson. I really like that pick. Offensive line for Philly is getting older. Other picks I liked was Kenneth Gainwell, really nice running back in round 5. He's a pass catcher back, and the Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni likes to use him. They went like a safety linebacker hybrid with Jacoby Stevens in round 6, who I think could be good on special teams and could start in rotation. And I also went McPherson, a really nice corner around 4. I'm gonna bump this down because I don't love the Milton Williams pick in round 3. I don't think that defensive tackle was a huge need, so that was a bit odd. And then they went off. They went defensive tackle again. So the 2 defensive tackle picks I don't love. Taron Jackson as well in round 6 is fine, but A minus, a really nice step up for Philly. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Tanner. I gave him an A minus as well. I liked what the Eagles did. They did not wait for a receiver to fall to him. The Giants would have taken Devontae Smith that came out recently. So the Eagles said, "We're not going to do this again. We're going to go get our guy," and they got the Heisman Trophy winner. That's all I got to say about him. Absolute stud. Um, I also agree with Tanner. I don't like the defensive tackle picks. I love Kenneth Gainwell. That guy is a very fun player to watch. Landon Dickerson, it's hard to rank him just because he's such a good player, but he has so many injury concerns, and that really concerns me because the Eagles' offense line, as Tanner knows, deals with a ton of injuries.
Oh no.
Yeah, he tore his ACL twice in college. Also had 2 ankle problems in college. That's why I'm a little concerned. But I think if he stays healthy, that's going to be a fantastic pickup. So let's hope he doesn't have the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line curse, but still a really great draft. So I give him an A minus.
Okay, going to the Giants. I'll say this, as an Eagles fan, it felt so good to just mess up the Giants' plans, getting them out of the playoffs last year, getting Devontae Smith. Feels so good for the Eagles to have some like leverage in this division, not be a laughing stock. With that being said, the Giants for me are gonna get a B plus. Here's what I like. I like Aziz Ojolari round 2. He's a very physical player. I really like him a lot. He's very fast, and the Giants head coach Joe Judge is a very smart uh, guy on YouTube, on the Giants official YouTube channel. He has a series where he's like talking about the X's and O's, and I just could see him making Aziz Al-Jawali a really great edge rusher. Then they go Aaron Robinson, a corner, round 3, who I really like. He can play in the middle. And you have James Bradbury and Adoree Jackson playing outside corners for the Giants. And then also like Gary Brightwell, running back in round 6 for a decent backup. Here's my thing with the round 1 pick of Kadarius Toney. This is why this pick's not an A. This draft's not an A. I really love Kadarius Toney. He was one of my favorite wide receivers. I just don't know about the Giants. You have Kenny Galladay outside. You have Darius Slayton outside. You have Sterling Shepard inside. Shepard's getting up there. I don't know. I feel like with Kadarius Toney, I do like it to him to the Giants. I feel like though that he could have gone somewhere else with more of an impact. The Giants, I believe, traded up several times because they didn't have a ton of picks. Well, they trade down, then they traded up. If they would have like traded, like selected someone else in round 1, then trade up for Kadarius Toney late round 1, I would have liked it. B plus though, nice job by the Giants overall.
Yeah, I gave him a an A minus. I don't. I think I like the Aziz Ojula. I can't say his last name. Ojulari. Sorry if I absolutely butchered that, but I love that pick. I think if they took him at 20, that'd have been great. But they ended up getting him at pick 50. So absolute great value there. I love Kadarius Toney, one of my favorite prospects to watch. He's gonna be. I'm gonna be a big fan of him in the NFL.
I love
He
Hakeem in that one.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Keenan Allen, a little bit of Stephon Diggs. He's going to be a matchup nightmare for opposing corners because he's so quick. His route running's impeccable. Um, he had a little bit of a drop problem at the Senior Bowl and not really much in college. It was just at the Senior Bowl, so maybe it was just nervousness. So not going to take that much into account. But I agree with what Tanner said. I think this is what a lot of people are talking about. It's like, why did the Giants really take him? I feel like they have a really stacked wide receiver room right now, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. But just because of Tony's skill set, I love this pick. And that's why I give it A minus.
All right, I'm going to wrap up here this video. Washington football team I ultimately like this draft a lot. I'm gonna go A minus. You get Jamin Davis, a nice linebacker round one. He's nice. Don't have anything else to say. He's a good player. You then go Samuel Cosme, round two, one of my favorite offensive linemen, a steal. You then go Benjamin St. Juice, round three. This guy has incredible tape as a corner. He's very physical. He's pretty tall too. Yeah, he's 6'3" and he attacks the ball like he's 6'7". I just love how he gets vertical. He was a player that I did some heavy research on. I really liked him. And then other picks for Washington in round five, Derek Forrest, nice safety. And then the other picks they made were pretty nice. I just feel like Ron Rivera, the head coach, is a good at developing talent. I can see a lot of these players being good. And then the Dallas Cowboys. This is a very interesting draft because I like the idea how they went defense with a lot of their picks. I just don't love the fits. Kelvin Joseph, a corner they took in round two. I'm not very high on. Uh, Jabril Cox, a lot of people love. I don't see it. He's fine. I don't know. Cowboys, I'm gonna go B. I'll go B. Yeah, I'll go B. I like the idea that they went defense. I just don't love the players. So overall, in conclusion, I thought a lot of the NFC teams did well, minus teams like the Seahawks, Packers, and Saints. I thought a lot of teams drafted well. And then Mason, if you want to say your thoughts on Washington and Dallas, and then you can do the conclusion for this video.
Yeah, really liked what Tanner said about the Washington football team. I really like the Jamin Davis pick. I think that's one of the biggest needs they had on that stack defense. That defense is gonna be really scary. They're really filling all the
Mhm.
positions of need. I gave it A minus. I would have gave it an A if they ended up taking a quarterback between rounds 4 and 7. I feel like they had so many picks. Um, I think Tanner mentioned this before, but they had so many picks. I wish they just used at least one of them on a quarterback because you might as well, just because you really don't have a future there at your quarterback position unless Heineke proves otherwise. Love the Cosme pick. Not a big fan of the Cameroon Cheese Man pick. I don't like cheese. That's why. No, all jokes aside, I just don't know about a long snapper in the 6th round. Um, and then hopping on the Cowboys, I'm a bigger fan than most people. I did give him a B plus. I love Micah Parsons. I think he's going to be one of the front runners for defensive rookie of the year. He has so much upside. Jabril Cox, great pick. A lot of people are also talking bad about the Nashawn Wright pick, and I understand why. I think it was a bit of a reach, but I think he has such good skill sets, or he has such a physique that you can't teach with his length. And I think if he gets coached up right, he'll be very dangerous. I also like the Kelvin Joseph pick, but not like any exciting picks. Like I think Kelvin Joseph was taken over like Asante Samuel Jr. So I don't like that's why I gave it a B plus because I'm not sure if that was the right move because I would have personally loved Asante Samuel Jr. over Kelvin Joseph. But still a solid draft. Um, but yeah, that's
I,
basically all of our
I do want to
thoughts.
say something real quick.
Oh yeah.
One reason I am low is on Dallas is the defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, who was the head coach for the Falcons for many years, and I thought he was very poor at developing a lot of defensive talent. You look at players who won the Falcons, Keanu O'Neal, Tack McKinley. These could have all been players who were really good, but they were very sporadic. The best player you had on that defense was Deion Jones, but Deion Jones was good coming out. So, but the Cowboys had a really good defensive mind. Like Vic Fangio, let's just say, then I would have been higher, but I just don't trust Dan Quinn. But anyways, you can continue.
Yeah, no, I mean Dan Quinn is so like inconsistent with the Seahawks and the Falcons, so I do agree there's gonna be concern there. I think it's an upgrade over who they had before. I forgot his name, but he was a horrible defensive coordinator, no offense. Just how it is sometimes. Um, but no, yeah, I think me and Tanner both agree that this draft really wasn't filled with many losers. Unlike the Packers. And I forgot the other team we really did not like.
Thanks.
The Saints. There's a couple other teams, but most of these teams really, yeah, Seattle. But I feel like a lot of these teams got great value. I think there's a lot of steal players, a couple reach picks, but I think a lot of teams filled needs. and there's very few who didn't, and I think they're gonna regret that. But yeah, I don't know if Tanner has anything else to say, but
Nope. Thank you for watching, and
yep.
Mason, you can conclude us.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check out when we post the AFC draft grades as well, because we're only halfway done. And thank you guys for watching.